I just assume it's in. But I have it around my neck. It's hard to hear in the house. Time for my warm-up song. The warm-up song is my take on country roads, which you've probably heard before. Almost heaven, Woodland Chapel. Sunday morning doesn't get much better. Spirit is lifted higher than the sky. God is watching from each other's eyes. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. Willamette Valley, Cascade Mountains, Oregon, take me home. All my memories gather round her, a winery lady, stranger to craft breweries. High desert sunrise, Pacific coast sunset, take me down a road what I haven't been on yet. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. Willamette Valley, Cascade Mountains, Oregon, take me home. I hear her voice in the morning and she calls to me. The radio reminds me of my home far away. Riding down the road I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday, yesterday. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. Willamette Valley, Cascade Mountains, Oregon, take me home. Oh, Oregon, take me home. Country roads, take me home. Yeah, John Denver's turning over in his grave right now. I actually saw a thing on the TV show Sunday Morning where they talked about that song and how people are adapting it to every different state. So I don't feel so bad anymore.
Good morning. Pleasure to see everyone here this morning. Welcome to Woodland Chapel, our Center for Spiritual Living. You've come to the right place. We're glad you're here as we explore, I think, a little bit more of the emotions the roles emotions play in our spiritual lives. And I'm sure Reverend Julie will be doing that with her talk. Yes, low tide, high tide. Is there anyone here who might be here for the very first time? Anyone? No? Okay. Well, we're glad that you're all friends and family. Let's look to the back of our programs for just a moment and look at the announcements. Next week, Reverend Don Kerr will be speaking on the topic, Welcome to the Temple. And the theme of the month is the body divine, the divine body. Please do join us for hospitality. We have a plethora of wonderful treats for you this morning. We have 2 crews that showed up to help make this happen. We are looking at the possibility of doing a rummage sale in the summer and possibly a silent auction in the fall. And so if you have something that you'd like to donate or something that you'd like to participate in, one or another, be sure to talk to one of our board members or to one of our ministers or to practitioners. And I see Kathy Daniels is in the back, and she's kind of holding the flag for that event. So she's our champion. Talk to Kathy. Face masks are no longer required, but if you do want one, well, you're certainly welcome to wear one. I'd like to focus our attention on one of our central teachings. We celebrate life. We celebrate its oneness. We celebrate its mystery. Life holds such joy. It contains sorrows, truly, yet continues with its bright promise of continual renewal. Now, as you all know, this is Memorial Day weekend, and the usual significance of Memorial Day is to recall the bravery and sacrifice and devotion of those who have died in protecting our freedom, the soldiers, the sailors, the Marines, the aviators, the Coast Guard, and other service members, even such as police and fire. And this we certainly do this morning. We also, I think, have broadened it to include remembrance of all those who have gone before us. Today, however, we will also recall the 19 children and the 2 teachers who perished in the unfortunate mass shooting. And I am looking for my bell, which I brought. Oh, dear. Excuse me. Take me a minute. As we recall the service people and others who have passed before us, there's not really much we can say by way of words that soften the blow of these occurrences, and especially the other mass shootings that we've seen happen. So this morning, let us simply recall and give these children, their teachers, their families, and everyone involved in these shootings a special place in our hearts this morning. Let us open our hearts to be conduits for the loving care of the Infinite One as it embraces all. I'm sure you're familiar with the tradition of a 21-gun salute. And symbolic of that, and the number of students and teachers whose lives lay heavy on our hearts today, we take a few minutes of silence as we slowly sound a bell 21 times. Shootings and similar tragedies occur because individuals choose fear, hate, and violence over love, forgiveness, and peace. Our faith tells us that the light of love will one day shine so brightly in each person's heart that these dark occurrences will become a distant memory, softened by time and bound up in compassion. We know, we feel, we believe the one, the infinite, the very essence of life itself is sacred love. It shows us the way. We may not see the entire path, but we take our first step as we sing together, Sacred Love by Daniel Nehemiah. Ruth, are you coming up? Now we'll ask our practitioner, Ruth Teneyck, to lead us in an invocation.
Good morning. Let's bring the morning in prayer. If you'd like to close your eyes, go within and be at the feet of God. God is all there is. All there is God. I know this. I have God in my heart, and I'm sure you do too. I know that whatever I ask, it is done. And I know that those other ones who are serving are in the heart of God and in the space of acceptance. I am thankful that I'm able to come and be with you this morning. I know memories are deep, and we all thank God for them. And I release these words into the law of love, knowing that the answer is always yes. Ask, and you will receive. And let us say together, and so it is. In your program this morning, you'll find an affirmation. Let's read it together. The ocean of being that holds all my heart's desires raises me on the tides of spirit's intentions, revealing ways to experience everyday wonders. Every day, in every way, I praise Spirit, and so it is. Thank you.
Our reader this morning is Dan Scarl.
This reading is from the Daily Word for today. The love in my heart is my comfort. If the sadness of loss diminishes my joy as I think of happy experiences with the loved ones who are no longer with me, I remember that the love we shared will bind us together always. Love can never die. Love, the most beautiful attribute of God, is present always and everywhere. I am comforted as my heart opens to the divine love within me, knowing that this same love enfolds all of those I hold dear, no matter where they are on the eternal journey of life. Peace and strength grow in my awareness as I open myself to love's expression. I bless everyone who comes to mind today with a loving thought. I speak a loving word or perform a simple act of kindness whenever I can. As I bring comfort to others, I am comforted also.
Thank you, Dan. We have, at this point, I believe, some musical accompaniment. We'll start us off.
Okay. This is a big sing-along day for you guys, so get ready. Shines on me, shine until tomorrow, let it be. I wake up to the sound of music, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, oh, let it be. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Oh, let it be, let it be, let it be, oh, let it be. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. There will be an answer, let it be. Shine until tomorrow, let it be.
We are privileged this morning to have Reverend Julie Applegate as our speaker. Reverend Julie is speaking on low tide or high tide. Please welcome Reverend Julie Applegate.
So good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. Oh, wow. You know, I don't know what to do about this thing. It falls off every week. I must be too rough on it. Too enthused. So, you know, I was so looking forward to being here this morning. Last week I couldn't be, and, you know, listening to things on the internet, listening to service, it's wonderful. I mean, I feel like there is a way that we can share, but guys, there is nothing like being here in person with one another. And yeah, and I'm so glad you who are here chose to spend your Memorial Day with us at Woodland Chapel. And for those who decided to go camping this week, bet you wish you were here. So, anyway, wow. Really appreciate Reverend Moore's remembrance and all of those. Wow, it's just been a time, hasn't it? And Memorial Day is really a special celebration time that we all need. We all need to take time. And this month, our theme for the whole month, and Centers for Spiritual Living has a theme, and it's on emotions. So, wow, I guess that was really appropriate. So we've been looking at those all month and what they mean and how we experience them and how our life can be better with how we manage our emotions. But today the topic is high tide, low tide. And wow, it feels like sometimes we are at high tide and sometimes we're at low tide, doesn't it? I mean, it's just like, I guess, another way of saying a roller coaster. And how we move through these times of high and low and how we can stay afloat is what we're looking at today. And the question is our topic, and I find it so appropriate for today because, like, all of these tragic events can so overwhelm, can't they? You know, I like to keep up with current events, but and maybe I overdo it. I like have 4 newspapers, and then of course there's the TV and all of that. But I can't watch the news so much anymore. And like with the newspapers, I can avoid what I want to avoid, but you can't avoid certain things. And then I feel like I shouldn't avoid it. I feel like, what can I do if I'm avoiding other people's pain? It just feels like I'm indulging myself. So there is this quandary and there's this feelings and there's this difficulties because I really want to be aware because I need to honor all the suffering of everyone. So it's kind of a conundrum for me. And there's so much suffering and so much frustration right now that we can feel powerless in the face of all of this. And I was telling my husband Paul last night, of telling him what he already knew, because I tell him like all the time, but about all the sadness and tragic and all this, and he was listening very patiently, and he doesn't, I tend to be kind of expressive about these things, and he said, well, there are good things and bad things in life, and we have to find a way through them to the good. And I was like, oh, wow, do you want to give this talk today? Because I'm feeling like you might be there. But a way through to that we're having an experience, and a way through to the good. Wow. Yeah, well, yes, and the question is how, because grief can be so gripping. You know, when I first got into New Thought, we would never have talked about this. Some of you have been in New Thought a long time. And it really suited me because I hope I still have that in me, an eternal optimist. And it spoke to me about possibilities and all the good thing. And it's a very optimistic, healthy, as William James said, a healthy-minded religion. And we would never have spoke to this. And, you know, maybe we weren't ready. I don't know. But I guess we're somewhere different, looking at a deeper way. That because we acknowledge this doesn't mean that we don't also acknowledge what Reverend Moore is saying, that we are one with a spirit that is love and wisdom and can lift us up. And so how do we do this? Because grief can be gripping, can it not? And we often feel, you know, hopeless and helpless, and it can be lost as we celebrate today, Memorial Day, those who have gone before. Our feelings can still be tender about that. And all the tragedy, the wars, and it's in our face all the time. We can't avoid, well, I guess we can avoid it, but it's hard to avoid. And so how to do that. And you know, some people I know people who are very sensitive and can be just paralyzed by the grief because you guys, isn't there an energy field? Are you feeling, is it just me being hypersensitive or something? Or do you feel this energy field right now that needs to be healed, that we need to work our way through. That what can we do as individuals, how for ourselves and for our planet and for everyone else that we love. So I think this energy field is calling us. You know, when Paul said we have to find a way through to the good. So in the moment, you know, I was just feeling all of this anxiety and pain around everybody's pain. And so what to do? I went, of course, to my teachers and spiritual guides that have been my guides most of my adult life. And I have a stack of books on the sofa where I was sitting because I had to look through them. I had to say, where is the wisdom? I need some wisdom right now. And I have all these books and these teachers because my pattern in life was always to leave my comfort zone and go into enthusiasm, something that was totally out of my comfort zone. So that required me to have guides and spiritual leaders who could help me through these unknown places. And I think sometimes when we go into all this grief and this, we're walking into the unknown, aren't we? I mean, we've been here before, but it is still the unknown for us, because how do we walk through it? Walk through the valley of the shadow. That is such a comforting place. Yea, though we walk through the valley of the shadow, I am with you. And that's what we're here together to remember and to share and to, how do we do that? So my prayer has always been this. Always, as I go through life and take on new or just wake up in the morning, I don't know the way. I don't know the answer. But there is a power and presence with and in me that does. So show me. And that has been my prayer. And I rest in, and then that having been said, there is a rest and release. How the way through, I think, let go and let God. Let go and let God. And what we need to do, it's not that we don't need to do something, because probably we will be called to action. Maybe some transformation in ourselves, maybe a letting go, maybe a forgiveness, maybe something difficult. In Proverbs, it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to God, and God will make your path straight. When Paul said, well, how do we do it? I think that's how we do it. Paramahansa Yogananda, one of my favorite teachers. See, it doesn't matter what tradition you're in. As I sat there looking at all these books and all these wisdom teachers, they were from different traditions. Doesn't matter, we are all one. And that's what we have to remember, because this idea of separation and the other is where the problem rises. For those who take up a gun and shoot, and then the pain, they are not feeling one with anybody. The hate arises because they feel separate from. I mean, I'm being simplistic, I know that. But that is the underlying thing there. Paramahansa said this, remember, greater than 1,000,000 reasons of the mind is to sit and meditate upon God until you feel calmness within. Then say to the Lord, I can't solve my problem alone, even if I thought a zillion different thoughts. But I can solve it by placing it in your hands, asking first for your guidance and then following through by thinking out the various angles for a possible solution. And you know, so that language sounds very separate. But we just speak to that within us sometimes with the voice. And you guys, let's not do right or wrong, okay? That what calls us to speak to that inner presence, however we language it, that's going to be okay. Plato describes Plato describes a transcendental field of life the colorless, formless, intangible essence. He characterizes it as a divine intelligence, pure knowledge, truth, reality, absolute knowledge. Experiencing this inner field, one is replenished and made glad. I was so glad I found that quote because I was explaining to my husband about Plato the other day and how he backed up my opinion. So this is why it's so good to have a lot of books. So there you go, Paul. So, and the Buddhists, I thought, looking to the Buddhist tradition, and they don't language a God out there, do they? Does it matter? Does it really matter? It's all in here anyway. Pema Chodron, have any of you read her books? Pema Chodron. She's a Buddhist nun. And she wasn't, and she's written loads of books and incredibly inspirational. And she wasn't always a Buddhist nun. She was raised Catholic and had 2 divorces and a couple children. And then her second husband left her for someone else, and she went into this trauma, as you can imagine. And through this event in her life fell apart, she said. And eventually, out of the misery, she discovered Buddhism, which was to be her path. That's what spoke to her. See, we are told to ask, and we shall receive. And that's true. But we don't even need to ask, because sometimes we don't even know what we need to ask, and we don't know where we're going and how to get there, do we? And this is what is so good about this. The infinite knows what we need. That infinite presence within us, that soul presence, or whatever you call it, or however you want to identify it. I don't know, words fail us on that, doesn't it? But we can experience it. That higher wisdom, that power, that presence, that God. It says in Matthew, our Father knows exactly what you need before you ask, even when we don't know what we need. So Pema Chodron, in her grief, was led to this teaching, Buddhism, that spoke to her. So she had a book called When Things Fall Apart, Advice in Difficult Times. Great book. If you don't have it, might want to seek it out. And she says this: times are different globally. She wrote this maybe in the 90s, I'm not quite sure. Here we go again, right? Times are difficult globally. Awakening is no longer a luxury or an ideal. It's no longer, isn't this nice? Let me sit on my cushion and be enlightened. It's becoming critical. We don't need to add more depression, more discouragement, more anger to what's already here. It's becoming essential that we learn how to relate sanely with difficult times. The earth seems to be beseeching us to connect with joy and discover our innermost essence. And this is the best way that we can benefit others. What can we do? Connect with our own innermost essence, which is in reality connecting with everyone else. It's always that separateness, isn't it? One country against another. I mean, just craziness. The way we would say that here is consciousness is cause. So she tells us there are 3 traditional methods in her teaching for relating directly with difficult circumstances on the path to awakening and joy. The first place is, she says, go to places that scare you. Like, yeah, that was what you wanted to hear, wasn't it? Really want to do that. She said, in meditation is how we stop fighting with ourselves. We stop struggling with circumstances. Wow. And I know that I do. I struggle with them. Yeah. Emotions or moods, the basic instruction is a tool that we can use to train in our practice and in our lives. Whatever arises, we can look at it with non-judgmental attitude and breathe into it. And use poison as medicine. Interesting path, isn't it? The second method of working with chaos is using poison as medicine. We can use difficult times as fuel of taking in pain and sending out positive energy. So the second method that she's talking about here, using poison as medicine, to use difficult situations to awaken our caring for other people who, just like us, find themselves in pain. And what Maura did this morning, connecting with that experience of others in the only way that maybe we can. When the world is filled with evil, all mishaps, all difficulties should be transformed into the path of enlightenment. And she said, third is regard what arises as awakened energy. The third method of working with chaos is to regard whatever arises as a manifestation of awakened energy. We can regard ourselves as already awake. We can regard our world as already sacred. Thank you, Blaine, for the song. Regarding what arises as awakened energy reverses our fundamental habitual pattern of trying to avoid conflict. Who does that in here? Trying to make ourselves better than we are. Trying to smooth things out, pretty them up. Trying to prove that pain is a mistake. I would not exist if only we would do things right. Did anyone ever feel that way? That things wouldn't be this way if we just did it right? And this idea of when you were sitting in meditation, and not as meditation to escape, you guys, because it can also be a way to avoid. You know what I mean? I'm going to bliss out, which is great sometimes. And we should. We should look at a sunset and feel the bliss. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is sometimes we want to avoid those things. And boy, do I know about avoiding pain. I really know how to do that. So this really has always spoke to me, and I tippy-toe into it. You guys, I tippy-toe. Because in the silence, when we just go deep and not try to avoid, things arise, feelings arise, don't they? Feelings arise, and we often try to push them down, and we judge them. And in judging them, we're judging ourselves, and we're separating ourselves. In that judgment, let me go a little deeper on the logic of this. We're separating ourselves from our own essence. And remember, separation is the problem. To embrace and not be judgmental is what this practice is she's saying about to be one with. And the best we can do for the world is to change our own consciousness. So last month, Paul and I and our daughter Debbie were in Los Angeles for the LA Times Book Festival, and it's this really big event, and it's just so cool. And what they do is they have, I don't know if you've ever been to it before, but it's just a really big, exciting thing in Los Angeles, and we got to be there for 4 days, and they have these authors, they have panels of authors on different topics, and authors who've written a book this past year and had a book published this past year. So we were enjoying that. And, you know, I was thinking, well, we always go to all this stuff. We should do something. I said to Debbie, we should do something for your dad. Let's go to the sports panel. And with authors. Yeah, we did, Paul. We did. We were thinking of you. And so we We did, and oh my God, they were so fabulous because all these panels, these authors are just amazing. They're incredible. They're fun. They're funny, and I also knew I wasn't risking because I used to read Paul's Sports Illustrated when I got it, and I knew they were really good writers, so it wasn't really a big risk on my part. But so we went, and this one writer, Bill Pulaski, who, if you're a sports fan, you probably know who he is, and I didn't know who he was, but there was something in him that touched me so deeply. Everyone was interesting. Everyone was incredible. But there was something about him that exuded compassion, and I just responded to him in a different way. And so I bought his book, and I wouldn't normally buy a book on football. But he was so compelling that I bought a book on football. And he had written this book about a team, a high school team from Paradise, California. And they were a team that had had a winning season, and they were up against their last game that coming week. And they knew they were going to win, that the other team wasn't the best, and they were going to be state champions. And now this is a town, a blue-collar town, and they don't have a lot of money, and all these kids have jobs in addition to going to school and playing football, but football was their life. And football, if you're from a small town, can be the life of the town, too. The Friday night football, I see heads shaking, yes. So, so it was the big game was coming up. And they had practice that day. It was a Tuesday, I believe. And so by Thursday, well, on Tuesday, let me tell you, there's a quote. I copied this quote from the coach. The coach's name was Prince. And he sent this quote out to his players because they were tired and exhausted. It had been a long season. Remember, these guys also work at jobs and go to school. And they were tired and feeling a little discouraged, and he sent this text to all of them. And this coach is also a youth pastor, but he's coached football for 30 years. So the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties is resilience. Toughness, the ability to quit. Are you not quit? Are you resilient? Are you going to step up? Or are you going to quit? That was Monday. He sent that. By Thursday, it was smoky. And he thought, well, should I not have practice? Should we cut the practice short? So he texted the team, we're going to have practice anyway. An hour later, there were sparks falling at his feet. And in minutes, literally, there was a fire coming that way. And the town began to explode. And people were running for their lives. The town was leveled and 86 people were killed. The population was decimated as people began to scatter to find some place to live. And these kids, they all survived, the whole football team survived. As they ran for their lives, the only thing they had were their clothes on their back. Everything was gone. Everything was gone. And the coach, he's so bound up, this football team was such a close entity, and he was going to retire. And he asked God what he should do. He asked for a sign. And I recommend asking for a sign if you don't know. And he received a couple signs, and he knew, no, I'm not going to retire. And so what should he do? So he thought, these kids have nothing. They have nothing. and they miss their big game. And they're really sad and upset and angry. Friday night football was everything. So he texted them all and pulled most of them back together and said, we're going to have a practice. They're living in a town down the hill, going to school in a warehouse. And so they found a field to practice in. It was an empty lot with potholes and garbage. And they got out there to practice, and they realized they didn't even, not only did they have no extra clothes, they didn't even have a football. That little problem was solved. And they began to practice, and it was what they had. It was what they had. And interestingly enough, the school didn't burn. It got things everything inside melted and all this stuff. But they went back to the gym at one point, and they had no beds, so they were sleeping on mattresses on the gym floor. And people began to come, the town people began to come and bring food, and other people came and volunteered to prepare food as this team began to practice. It was a story of resilience. They were angry and they were sad, and they began to channel that into football. And it turned out it gave the town somewhere to channel a focus, to come around this as a community. They came in second in championships. They didn't come in first, but they beat everybody else but one team, playing with nothing, donated equipment at some point. So they were kind of upset because they didn't win. But people would come up to them and thank them for giving them a meaning and a purpose to come back together as a community. He said, after they came in second, he said, I don't think I fully understand the enormity of the story, but you need to appreciate it, he told them. It really wasn't about the championship. It was about week after week giving our community something to rally around. I remember that fire. Do you guys remember that fire? Yeah. Lots of fires. Heartbreaking. Everything gone. What do you do? What do you do? It's been a season of tragedy and a long season. And I didn't know when I bought that book that I was going to be doing this talk. But there was something about that author that touched something in me. So I read a book on football. But it was more than football, wasn't it? It was about what the human spirit can do despite it all. I recommend the book. His name's Bill Pulaski, and it's Paradise, and I can't get the second part of the title. So, using poison as a medicine, how? When suffering arises, we breathe it in for everybody. This poison is not just our personal misfortune. It's our kinship with all living things, the seed of compassion and openness. Instead of pushing it away or running from it, we breathe in and we connect with it fully. We do this with the wish that all of us could be free from suffering. Regarding whatever arises as awakened energy, this reverses our habitual pattern of trying to avoid conflict, trying to smooth things out, trying to prove that pain is a mistake that wouldn't exist if we did things right. Pema Chodron. So go within with me, please. And I want to close with the words of Howard Thurman. That the day view follows the night view is written large in nature. Indeed, It is one with nature itself. The clouds gather heavy with unshed tears. At last they bust, sending over the total landscape waters gathered from the silent offerings of sea and river. And the next day dawned, and the whole heavens are aflame with the glorious brilliance of the sun. This is the way rhythm moves. The fall of the year comes, then winter with its trees stripped of leaf and bud, cold winds ruthless in bitterness and sting. One day there is sleet and ice, and in the silent nighttime the snow falls soundlessly. All this until at last the cold seems endless, and there it seems to be shadowy foreboding. The earth is weary and heavy. Then something stirs. A strange new vitality pulses through everything. One can feel the pressure of some vast energy pushing, always pushing through dead branches, slumbering roots. Life surges everywhere, within and without. Spring has come. The day usurps the night view. My friends, there will be high tide and there will be low tide. I don't know the way. I don't know the answer. But I know there is a power and presence within me and within you that does. So show us. Namaste.
So I picked this song this morning because my voice just wouldn't sing the other song that I had picked earlier. This is a song about love, and it's occurred to me listening to Julie's talk and about emotions. It's a song about love, and it occurs to me that love isn't always that easy. Kind friends all gather round. There's something I would say. What brings us together has blessed us all today. Love has found a circle, and it holds us all inside. Where strangers are all family, loneliness can't hide. So just give yourself to love. Love is what you're after. Open up your heart to the tears and laughter, and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. This is my favorite verse here. I've walked the mountains in the rain. I've learned to love the wind. I've been up before the sunrise just to watch the day begin. I always knew I'd find you, but I never did know how. But like sunshine on a cloudy day, you stand before me now. And just give yourself to love. Love is what you're after. Open up your heart to the tears and laughter, and Give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Love is born of fire. It's planted like a seed. Love can't give you everything, but it can give you what you need. Love comes when you're ready. Love comes when you're afraid. It can be your greatest teacher, the best friend you've ever made. So just give yourself to love. Love is what you're after. Open up your heart to the tears and laughter and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. So I'd like you to sing this chorus with me and put your hand over your heart. And we're going to sing, I give myself to love. I give myself to love. Love is what I'm after. I open up my heart to the tears and laughter, and I give myself to love. I give myself to love. That felt really good. Let's do that again. I give myself to love. Love is what I'm after. I open up my heart to the tears and laughter, and I give myself to love. I give myself to love. I give myself to love. Give myself to love. Amen. Thank you.
Because each one of us, instead of just sitting here listening to somebody else, we get to participate in the gift of love and in the gift of sharing. And so I just bless each one of you and your consciousness that allows you to support ongoing consciousness that can change the world. So let us say our offertory blessing together. Divine love as me multiplies, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate.
So it is.
Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen.
As we let the Amen reverberate in our hearts, we realize there is a presence and a joy and an energy that is beyond anything we really know here. Even in the face of sadness, in the face of loss, in the face of the turmoil of the world, we know that within all and through all, there is this loving presence that gives itself without stint into beingness through and as each one of us. So as we do this, we just take into our hearts the love of God and share it freely with all the world, knowing especially it is present for those who are suffering most. For this we are aware, and we give thanks, and we are glad. And let us say together, and so it is.
And let us say together our prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so,
Stand and sing.
and know that there is peace is possible.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Walk in the peace and love of God.
Almost heaven, Woodland Chapel. Sunday morning doesn't get much better. Spirit is lifted higher than the sky. God is watching over from each other's eyes. Country roads take me home to the place I belong. Willamette Valley and the Cascade Mountains, Oregon, take me home. All my memories gather round her, a winery lady, stranger to craft breweries. Country roads take me home to the place I belong. Cascade Mountains, Oregon. Take me home, oh take me home, Oregon.